Good morning, children. Today we will be doing the chapter The Lost Spring, which is written by Anis Jung. First of all, let us know about Anis Jung. Anis Jung was born in 1944. She is an Indian author, journalist, and columnist for newspapers in India and abroad, whose most known work, Unveiling India, was a chronicle of the lives of women in India, noted especially for the depiction of Muslim women behind the parda. Born in Raulkela, Anis hails from an aristocratic family in Hyderabad. After schooling and college at Osmania University in Hyderabad, she went to the United States for higher studies at University of Michigan Ann Arbor, where she did her master's degree in sociology and American studies. She started her career in writing with the Youth Times, a Times of India publication, where she worked as journalist and editor. Jung published Unveiling India in 1987. It's a travel diary focusing on interviews with women. She has written several subsequent books on the same, talking to women about their everyday lives, including Night of the New Moon, Encounters with Muslim Women in India. Seven Sisters, Breaking the Silence, is based on conversations on women's life from all over the world. Beyond the Courtyard is based on interviews with the daughters of the women she had talked to first in Unveiling India, and many of the horrifying tales continue. Anis Jung's Lost Spring, that is Stories of Stolen Childhood, which was published in 2005, focuses on children from deprived background. We will see some of the books written by Anis Jung. This is Unveiling India, A Woman's Journey. Night of the New Moon, Breaking the Silence, Seven Sisters, Beyond the Courtyard, Breaking the Silence, Voices of Women from Around the World. Now here, these books you can see mostly they are all related to women. Children, this chapter, The Lost Spring, written by Anis Jung, it is basically on underprivileged children. Underprivileged children. You can understand by seeing these pictures. See these pictures. Small children, very small children. They are working here. Here you can also see they are so very poor. They live in houses which have no amenities. They live in a place which is very dirty. You can see here, like we are privileged, we have a nice home, we have good food to eat. Our parents provide us many things. But these children, they are very, very poor. They have to work at a very tender age. The age when they are supposed to play, have fun, studies. But since they are so very poor, it is very difficult for them to go to schools. They have no money. And the places where they live, slum area if you have seen, they are all very dirty with no drainage system. So these children are underprivileged children. This story basically deals with these kind of children. Children, can you see this place? Slums. Lots of houses or huts are here where there is no place in between. They are all very crowded. You can see water over here. There is no proper drainage system. See, here a child is standing, and see the houses all made up of tin. Here you can see water. These are all because lack of drainage system. Here you see all dirty things, due to which many kind of diseases are there in this area. So these underprivileged people live in this kind of places. Lost spring. First of all, let us see what is spring season. Can you see this picture? A beautiful picture. Flowers are there, birds are there. See here, a second picture. Greenery is there, flowers are there, and it is looking so good and positive. Spring is the season of new beginnings, fresh buds bloom, animals awaken, and the earth seems to come to life again. It's the most beautiful season of the year. The writer has compared spring with childhood. The writer says that childhood is the springtime of a human being, because at that time it's a new beginning, you feel happy, you have lots of energy, and by seeing you, your parents come to life again, they are so happy to see you. So here the writer has compared spring with the childhood. But again, see these children at such a tender age, what they are doing? They are working. Although child labor has been banned, but still you find child labor here in India. See, but for these slum children, this spring is consumed in the web of poverty. At a very small age, they are burdened with hard labor. So, they lose their spring, that is childhood. See here, again a picture. Can you see this picture? There is a boy standing with a bag, and you can see all waste material lying over here. Why the child is standing here? Do you know? He is a rag picker. The story revolves around the pitiable condition of the poor children who have been forced to live in slums and work hard in very dirty condition. The story is divided into two parts. The first part tells the writer's impression about the life of poor rag pickers who have migrated from Bangladesh and now have settled in the Simapuri area of Delhi. Now these rag pickers, they originally belonged to Bangladesh, but they have left their country, they have migrated, and now they have settled in Delhi. And there is an area, Simapuri, where you will find all these rag pickers living. Simapuri is on the border of Delhi, where about 10,000 families of rag pickers live. Huts, mud houses, tin roofed, poor sanitation, no safe drinking water, no sewage. So these kinds of huts they have in that area. The houses are all made up of mud, roofs are of tin, poor sanitation is there, they don't have any safe drinking water, no sewage system is there. People are compelled to live substandard life in slums. They have come from Dhaka, Bangladesh in 1971 as their lands and houses were devastated by storm. They have ration cards to buy grains and are vote banks for politicians, but they are compelled to lead a poor life. See children, this is a boy with a heavy bag on his back. He is a rag picker. Both children and elders are rag pickers. Now, not only children but elders also, they are rag pickers. Garbage hold different meanings. For children, it is gold mine as they get surprises. surprises in the form of coins and currency notes. For elders, it is their means of livelihood. Now, children, these rag pickers, when they go to pick up rags, sometimes they get few things, like sometimes they find coins or a currency note or some toys. So they feel very happy. But for elders, for their parents, it is a means of livelihood. The writer watches a boy named Sahib every morning in her neighborhood. Now, this boy Sahib, he is a rag picker. The boy looks for some coins and other things in the garbage heaps. The writer once asked Sahib to go to school. Sahib replied there was no school in their neighborhood. There were a number of rag pickers like Sahib. In a few months, the narrator came to recognize each one of them. They were all barefoot boys. Boys means they were not wearing any shoes or chappals or slippers. They were all barefoot boys. When asked as to why they do not wear chappals, they gave various excuses to conceal. Conceal means to hide their poverty. It is not lack of money but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. So one of the boys said, we have money to buy chappals or slippers or shoes, but it's our tradition to stay barefoot. Now this is an excuse given by them to hide their poverty. One winter morning, the writer sees Sahib watching a game of tennis. Sahib says that he likes this game. He is wearing tennis shoes discarded by some rich boy and given to him. So one winter morning, the writer sees Sahib and he is standing there and watching the game of tennis. That time he is wearing a tennis shoes which has been discarded by some rich boy. Sahib-e-Alam. This was the name of that boy. A rag picker whose name means Lord of the Universe. Sahib-e-Alam. Sahib, Lord. E-Alam means Lord of the Universe. It's very ironical. Actually, he is a rag picker, but his name suggests that he is Lord of the Universe. We'll know something more about him. He is 10 years old. He has a dream to go to school, wear tennis shoes and play tennis, which is an unfulfilled dream. He gets a pair of discarded tennis shoes. Later, he works in a tea stall and gets rupees 800 as salary. But he is no more a master of his own. He is not very happy to work in a tea stall. Although he is getting money for it, he has been paid for it, but he is not happy. Why? Because he is no more a master of his own. When he was a rag picker, he was a master of his own. Whenever he felt like, he used to go, he used to pick up rag. Whenever he wanted rest, he would sit down. But when you're working somewhere else, you have to work according to their terms and conditions. Now here Sahib-e-Alam, he started working in a tea stall. He gets money, but then he is no more a master of his own. He is thus unhappy. For him, the steel canister is heavier than the plastic bag. Plastic bag which he used to pick up the rag. For him, steel canister is heavier than the plastic bag. Why? Because steel canister he is not happy in that work. See children, if you are happy in some work, you can do it easily. It is very hard to do something which you do not like. Now here he is not happy to work in a tea stall. So for him, he is not interested. So for him, the steel canister is heavy. The steel canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. In the first part, we have seen about Sahib-e-Alam and we have seen about rag pickers. Now see this picture. What are these? Colorful bangles. All of us have seen this, no? They look so beautiful and colorful. Second picture, this is the place, furnace is burning. This kind of place is there where these kind of beautiful bangles are made. Can you see here? Again the third picture, glass bangle factory is situated, mostly they are at Firozabad because it's a hub for bangle making. In the second part, the writer met a boy called Mukesh. In the first part, the writer met a boy named Sahibe Alam. In the second part, the writer met a boy named Mukesh. And this boy lives where? In Firozabad. And he belongs to a family of bangle maker. When you go to Firozabad, you will find that mostly every family is engaged in bangle making. Okay. Every other family in Firozabad is engaged in making bangles. About 20,000 children work in the glass furnaces of Firozabad. It is very dangerous to work there, and especially for children. But in Firozabad, you will find many children also working in this kind of glass furnace. They have to work in a very unhealthy condition. Mukesh takes the writer to his home. They walk down stinking lanes choked with garbage. Means it is smelling so bad. Unhealthy place. It is all stinking. Means a bad smell is coming. And lanes are all choked with garbage. The houses were with crumbling walls, wobbly doors, no windows, crowded with families of humans and animals coexisting in a primeval state. Here, in those houses, it is crowded. Small hut type houses are there, but it is crowded. Number of people are there, and animals also living all together. So, pathetic condition is there. See here in this picture what is the process, how they are making these bangles. As the writer goes to Mukesh's house, she finds that it is a half-built shack with signs of poverty. In one of its parts, a firewood stove had a large vessel on it. A frail young woman, frail means weak, a frail young woman cooked the evening meal. She was the wife of Mukesh's elder brother. As Mukesh's father came in, she brought her veil closer to her face. Means because father-in-law has come, she has to cover her face with a veil. The old man was a bangle maker. Even after years of hard labor, he was unable to send his sons to school. Mukesh's grandfather had become blind with dust from polishing of glass bangles. Mukesh's grandmother regards it as their destiny. She says that they are born in the caste of bangle makers and have seen nothing but bangles in their lives. See here, small girl in the glass factory. The writer sees a girl named Savita in other hutment. She says that she had not enjoyed even one full meal all her life. We should really thank God for giving us all good things. We enjoy good food. We live in good houses. Our parents take care of us. But see here this girl Savita. What does she say? That she has not enjoyed even one full meal all her life. This is so very pathetic. Okay, children, we'll see the economic conditions. See this picture. See this hut. Now, these poor people, they are very badly exploited by money lenders or sahukars, middlemen, policemen, bureaucrats, and the politicians. All the profits are backed by them. Workers are not allowed to form unions or organize themselves into a cooperative. Pay attention here, children, that they are not allowed to form unions or organize themselves into cooperatives. They are compelled to live substandard, deprived, and unhealthy life. Hazards of working in glass bangle industry. Workers work in a very high temperature. They work in dingy cells without air and light. They lose the brightness of their eyes. The powder from the polishing of bangles blinds them. So many of them, those who are working in this glass bangle industries, they lose their eyesight, because when they polish the bangles, the powder which comes out from it goes into their eyes, thus making them blind. As we had seen about Sahib-e-Alam, now we will see about Mukesh, a child labor in family profession of bangle making at Firozabad. He is daring and different from other young children of Firozabad who have submitted to age-old miseries and traditional profession. Mukesh decides to go to a garage and learn the job of a motor mechanic. He could be his own master. Now he doesn't want to continue with the family profession. He wants to go to the garage and he wants to learn the job of motor mechanic, so that one day he can open up his own shop of repairing motor, so that he can be his own master. Students, I hope you have understood it. Thank you for watching.